The East Tennessee State Buccaneers begin their quest for a Southern Conference tournament title. We follow them on their journey. The News Channel 11 sports team presents Bucs, Asheville bound.
Hello, everybody. The ETSU men's basketball team is looking to continue its magical season as the #1 seed in Southern Conference tournament. Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to this ABC Sports special, Bucs Road to Asheville. I'm Kenny Hawkins. I'm joined by the rest of my ABC Tri-City sports team, Jesse Krall and also Michael Epps. And just a few minutes, we'll be joined by one of the greatest basketball players in ETSU history, Keith Mr. Jennings, who's here live in studio. But first, we're going to take a look back at this year's magical season for ETSU.
This record-breaking season for ETSU tipped off the right way with 3 straight victories, including a win over Big South co-champ Winthrop. But then the Bucs faced their first true test of the season, #4 Kansas. And despite fighting all 40 minutes, the Jayhawks rocked the Bucs for a 12-point loss.
One of our mottos is we're gritty, grimy, tough, and together. And I thought we showed that.
Forbes and the boys bounced back well, winning 5 straight games, but then endured a choppy showdown in the Rough Rider State, dropping to Summit League co-champion North Dakota State.
His first 3 he has made.
But it didn't take long for the Bucs to rebound. They tamed the Bayou Bengals, winning 74-63, which was ETSU's first Power 5 win since 2016.
Oh my goodness, hello.
Now, the rest of the non-conference season was smooth sailing for the Buccaneers, including the largest win in school history. But it wasn't long after that the Bucs felt the pressure of the conference, suffering their first SOCON slip-up at Furman and just their 3rd Southern contest. In the following game, this squad answered with a 7-point victory over UNCG.
We could have got frustrated in the first half, when things weren't really going our way, and I was really proud of our team.
But then East Tennessee suffered its biggest shakeup of the season, with Mercer handing the Bucs a 16-point home loss.
The discouraging part about losing at home is having a team play harder than your team played.
After the defeat, the Bucs closed out strong, finishing the regular season on a 9-game winning streak, including a 75-66 win over Furman and a thrilling 1-point triumph over Western Carolina to clinch the regular season crown.
What an incredible effort by our team to not fold and to be resilient when things weren't going well for us on either end of the court.
Now the Bucs will continue to fight this weekend as they seek their first tournament title since 2017. In Johnson City, Jesse Krall, News Channel 11 Sports.
So here we are, 27 wins, and we are getting ready to open up Southern Conference tournament action in Asheville tomorrow, noon, and they'll be taking on VMI. When you take a look back at this season, what is more memorable, the big win over LSU, or was it one of the losses that they suffered?
I think you just brought up the good point. I mean, you like the wins, LSU, the big conference wins. Yeah. But I think it's the losses that stand out, because, I mean, look who they lost to, North Dakota State. Yeah. They just, won their first round game in the Summit League, and they're #1 in their conference. You get lost to Kansas, I mean, #4 as a Buki. That kid's just dominant. He's going to win the Wooden Award, or he's going to be up for it at least. And, some of the other big losses, obviously you got that Mercer one that's kind of a question mark on their schedule, but I think that's the only one they really have that, kind of stands out as a bad loss.
Right, and especially to follow up a loss with a win every time this season, something that head coach Steve Forbes has been incredible at since he's been here. He's always coming out with a strong game after a loss, and you were at that UNCG game. Head coach Steve Forbes called that like the moment of the year after the loss. Comes out with UNCG without Jerome Rodriguez and pulls out that big one.
This is all without Jerome Rodriguez for, what is it, 13 games, 14 games?
And that is what's amazing, because this is one of the key figures for this team last season. It was going to be Jerome this season, pretty much all the starters back except one. So, yeah, he really hasn't played sparingly, really, the last 2 games. Let me ask you this. They're ranked 29th in the AP. We have been calling this team the Cardiac Kids. Okay? I mean, really, I almost have no hair. I mean, can they afford to do that this weekend?
No. I mean, I'm sorry to be so blunt, but you can't. I mean, we just watched VMI and we just saw what they shot, 96 points or 98 points. It was close to 100. They almost hit the century mark. That's crazy. You can't be doing that. And obviously, we just saw that Western Carolina win. They only had 68 points, so you got to be on point.
Yeah, the inconsistency is tough offensively. It's nice to have so many different dynamic playmakers and so many different leading scorers throughout the season, which we can touch on. But when you don't have a guy where you know you're going to get a ton of points out of him, that's where it gets kind of tough. And when you got to go against, certain defenses in these tough conference tournament games where these defenses are locked in. This is their last game of the season maybe, so they are all in on those last 10 minutes.
Let me ask you, one of the things that Coach Forbes has said, we have had 8 different leading scorers. Yeah. Who do you guard?
You don't. I mean, I don't know who, because you look at the post, you got Lucas, who, 7 feet. You should be able to score at least 10 points a game if you're 7 feet tall.
He's been playing really well since Jerome went out.
Exactly. Yeah. The Jerome's back, so who knows when he's going to find his groove, because you and I have talked about this, that he needs to get back in that groove. So, the backcourt, too, is going to be amazing.
Yeah, and then you got the guard play where Patrick Good is starting to really catch fire. They're starting to get hot at the right time with Trey Boyd having some good games, too, but they got to get it going in a consistent game, especially 3 games in 3 days.
And remember that when Trey Boyd and Patrick Good were in a slump at one point this season. Boyd obviously picking up all conference honors along with Bo Hodges this past week. Now we're just getting started, folks, here with our SOCON special. Bucs headed to the Asheville bound, headed to the tournament in Asheville. Coming up, we're going to be joined by ETSU basketball legend Keith Mr. Jennings. This guy knows about winning, let me tell you. The only consistent All-American selection in school history.
Wake up to the latest breaking news and accurate Storm Team 11 coverage on air and online at WJHL.com. Watch News Channel 11 this morning.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. The Bucs' success on the court this year has come with more media attention, including some national headlines. News Channel 11 Sports' Michael Epps has more.
The Bucs have notched a school record for most wins in a season.
Incredible. And then to go 16-2 in this league is special.
Throughout the year, they've been ranked as one of the top mid-major teams in the country.
Something I think that says that we've set a standard of excellence at a real high level, one of the winningest programs probably in college basketball in the last 5 years.
While ETSU has become a familiar mid-major name, a season like this has brought national attention.
All right, guys, we shift our attention now to a mid-major team which has its sights set on the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, the big guns.
On College Basketball Live, we'll check in on the game of the night that was played in Johnson City, Tennessee.
After the Bucs win over Furman, head coach Steve Forbes did a live interview with ESPN's College Basketball Live.
And we're joined now by the head coach of the East Tennessee State Bucs, Steve Forbes,
breaking down the state of his program.
We have to win every game at this level, at this late in the year, to continue to have a tournament-type profile, and that's really hard. But these guys, we got a gritty, grimy, tough team.
It's stuff like this that a mid-major program strives for.
That building being like it is, it wasn't like that when we came here, And so I think over the years we've built and built and built.
But the Bucs know it will not mean much without taking care of business in Asheville.
I want it for them. And that's all we've talked about all year long, was that right there.
We know what we have to do to win a championship, but we want to win the conference championship. Obviously, 3 games in 3 days is a little bit tougher than the regular season, but we know what we're capable of doing, and we just have to go out there and get it done.
In Johnson City, Michael Epps,
Stretch.
News Channel 11 Sports.
We are now joined by former ETSU All-American Keith Mr. Jennings. He's the only consensus All-American in program history and led the Bucs to 3 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances in the late 80s and early 90s. Keith, thanks for joining us. Good to get you off that rock over here, man. Okay?
Anything, come and visit with you, man. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You know a little thing about playing over in Asheville. You know about the pressures that come with going to that place to win the Southern Conference championship. What is this team going through the night before they kick off the tournament?
I mean, well, as great as they're playing right now, I would think their leadership is making sure that the young guys know that we're going to be there for the duration. It's just not... I remember telling some of the freshmen, you're not going to pack for 1 day when you go over here. We're packing for 3 days. And once they finally understood what I meant, then it just really took off. I think everybody got in line. And I believe with this year's team, I think that's the approach. And I'm very proud of these young guys, man. They're having a wonderful season.
What's kind of the mentality that goes along with that, too? Because obviously they have the skill on the court, but like you kind of just touched on, what's kind of the mentality going into this 3-day tournament?
Well, recalling some of the things that we went through, we knew we were the team that everybody was trying to knock out. So we didn't want to take anybody for granted. No matter what the regular season success was, we didn't want to go into the tournament feeling like, okay, we're going to have the same success, because we know at this point of the season, one loss and it could be the end of your season. So I think right now, they're getting ready to understand the situations at hand. You win these 3, you get to get a nice fat ring. I think that drives a lot of young men in itself.
Right, and Forbes just mentioned how his team is a gritty, grimy team. Obviously, you know about what that takes. So, what are your thoughts about this year's team? What do you see in them?
I mean, like Coach said, they're gritty and grimy. They really, I've seen a lot of teams come through, and this is one of the teams I compare to us quite a bit, because they have some size, but they really have some toughness. I played with some guys, that were not only skilled, but were tough. Took charges, didn't back down from anybody, understood that we were the underdogs a lot of times as we played the bigger schools, but it wasn't nothing for us to think we're going to win this game. So I think this same program is doing the same thing, and it does my heart good just to see East Tennessee State doing what we did, and probably going to do a little bit more.
I'm going to be honest with you. Obviously, you and I basically kind of started at the same time. Okay, that team and this team, there are some similarities. I mean, really, when you look at the guards, with Patrick Good and also Trey Boyd, the third, just like your guard, your point guard, you and Patrick Good, big man underneath, Gasson and Greg Dennis. You got Bo Hodges, who reminds me of Marty's story. Neither one can shoot from the outside.
Don't tell Marty that.
But yeah, but tough underneath. Does this team remind you of your team a little bit as well?
Yes. It seems like they genuinely like each other. I think that goes unnoticed in basketball. I think that was one of the things that made us really successful. We didn't care who got the kudos after the game. Our main thing was, how are we going to win? And if it happened to be with Calvin scoring 30 or Greg scoring 30 or Alvin or Major doing their thing or Marty, it was going to come from a different spot, and we were all okay with that. So I think this team does the same thing. I don't think they care who gets the limelight. The bottom line is they want to win, and they want to go as far as they can, and I like that about them.
All right, we're talking about all the good things, and I don't want to make this negative, but is there something that kind of scares you about this squad?
Maybe the experience. I think that's what helped us. I was fortunate to win 3 rings, and I know Marty and Calvin and Greg, they won 4. So I think that experience that we all had proved to be pivotal. That first time getting there and winning it, now you know what to expect. So if they haven't done that yet, then they're just going to be going through it, hoping to achieve it. But I just believe that this is their year, and, if they handle business like they did, I see them holding up the banner at the end of the year.
I was going to say, I think we all believe that, honestly. Let's be positive here.
Yes, sir.
Is there a guy that has kind of really stuck out to you, like, wow, this guy has been a difference maker?
Well, Davion and Patrick Good, those 2 guys I've been in contact with a little bit, and I remember when I was worked at Science Hill, Patrick Good was a little guard. Like, he was like maybe 11, 12 years old, and he was always messing with me like, come on, mister, let's shoot. And we did play one-on-one. I asked him if he remembered that, because that was one of the last times I played, and I beat him, and I won't give him a rematch. So, I just have to take that win with me. But for the majority, every time I get to come back, they show a lot of respect and a lot of love, and it only makes me want to help them and see them succeed even more.
Real quick, before we go to break, I want to ask you, you guys rose during that era to 10th ranked in the country. We just talked about the national notoriety. How do you handle that? How should this team handle that, especially if they win the tournament? Because if they win the tournament, they will move in the top 25.
Like I said, I think it was a process that we learned. I think when we first realized how close we were getting to the top 10, we still stayed humble about it, because we had come a long way. As you know, from our freshman year winning 14 games to now winning 28, that was like a big difference for us. But we knew if we stayed the course, and we had so much love for each other, I wasn't going to get the big head without Marty saying something. Calvin wasn't going to get the big head without Greg saying something. It was, like I said, it was the type of team that all of us got along and we wanted to see everybody succeed, so we just stayed the course.
All right, I think it's funny you calling somebody else the little guy.
I know, right?
That cracks me up. Coming up, the Bucs went 16-1 at Freedom Hall this season thanks to the highest attendance rate in the SOCON. We spoke to a few fans who say they'll continue supporting ETSU down in Asheville. Welcome back to our ABC Tri-City Sports Special. Bucs, the road to Asheville. The Bucs had the highest home attendance in the SOCON this season, and Kristen Gallant learned the fans plan to continue showing their support down in Asheville.
The Bucs went 16-1 at home this season with the highest fan attendance rate in the Southern Conference.
I've been to just about every home game.
It's been amazing. It's been phenomenal. Every single game is a nail-biter, and it's always exciting.
Those exciting games led to a historic season by winning the most regular season games in program history.
Coach Forbes just got named SOCON Coach of the Year. They just won the title, and they are doing extremely well.
Now they're off to their next challenge, the Southern Conference Tournament.
I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to go, and for the chance to maybe even go to the NCAA tournament, that is just amazing. I'm excited to see the Bucs defeat all the other teams out there. I'm excited for the Bucs to absolutely destroy the SOCON tournament.
I got my ticket. I'll be there. Going to the Saturday game. If we win Saturday, I'll go to the Sunday game, and then I'll get my ticket Monday for the championship game.
Buccaneers fans are expecting nothing but the best from their men's basketball team.
I expect ETSU to show out, and I expect the guys to deliver. They've been grinding really hard in practice, and like we're seeing results on the floor.
Students are wishing their team luck.
Good luck. We're all rooting for you guys back here. We're super proud, and we'll watch you go all the way.
And cheering them on to victory.
Always go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Godspeed. Go Bucs.
All right, thanks, Kristen. You know, let me tell you something. I've been telling these guys, let me say, 6,000, great crowd.
Great.
But you put 12,000 in the dome. They ain't seen crowds like that.
Yeah, man, I mean, it's something to play in front of those fans that were screaming and cheering for you guys. Oh, it was something that's etched in my memory forever.
How much does that mean to this team, obviously, because, you know, you want fans in the game, but, you know, like a Wednesday night game where you maybe have homework or, you know, someone's got to work, but, I mean, when you get 13,000 or maybe even just 6,000, like, you know, today, what does that mean for you guys?
I mean, you know, it just goes to show you, you know, winning is important. You know, people like following teams that win. You know, unfortunately, my freshman year, we didn't win as much. We didn't have that big of a crowd. You start winning games, and the next thing you know, people get turned back, so you better get there early. So that's a really good feeling.
Build it and they will come.
Exactly.
Hey, let me ask you, if they don't win the tournament, will they make it to the big dance? Will they be in at large?
I mean, NCAA need to stop tripping about the mid-majors.
Come on, Mr.
I mean, if you're a good team, if you're legit, no matter who doesn't want to play you, because you know a lot of teams don't want to come to Johnson City. Yeah. So we got to play teams that are hungry like us. And, you know, it's something for 27 wins, 28 wins. That's a lot of wins, not for you to get into the NCAA tournament.
You and I watched Davidson go down with Steph Curry. They didn't make it one year.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes things must change. You know, sometimes things must change. It might be the time.
We changed them this year. All right, okay. I hope he's right. Let me tell you what. Like I like to say, listen, just win them. Yep. And then that way you don't have to worry about it all week. We'll come back to wrap up our show. Stay with us.
Watch Tri-Cities weather in real time with the Ashley Home Store WeatherCam Network.
All right, quick before we go, let's get some predictions on this weekend, beginning with tomorrow.
They're winning the tournament. I mean, that's all that matters. So they're winning tomorrow, the next day, and the next day after that.
Listen. I mean, records are made to be broken. They continue to break all of ours, so I got to go with them, man. I mean, you know, it's nice to be able to see that happen. I just didn't think it was going to, but now that it is, I'm all for it now.
They'll tie it. They'll tie it tomorrow, get 28. I don't know, that championship game against Furman, the third matchup, maybe that could be a tough one.
Gotta have positivity, baby. Gotta have positivity.
It's a tough game.
All right, okay. We want to mention that Mr. Head Coach Lise McCray, the women's team up there, we need to get you back down here, man. Listen, thank you for joining us on our ABC Tri-City Sports Special, Bucs Asheville Bound. Don't forget you can watch the Bucs SOCON tournament open it right here on ABC Tri-City tomorrow at noon as they take on VMI. We'll also have live updates online at WJHL.com as well as our Facebook page. Thank you, mister. Good night, everybody.
Guys, appreciate it.